Hey guys, this is Colin with the One Reality Podcast. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, on the Anchor app. Or you can find us on YouTube. YouTube channel's name is Colin Michael-One Reality. If you search my name or One Reality, it'll pop up the YouTube channel. Now, what we're talking about today is the fact that God doesn't want you to go to church. And though that sounds contradictory, I'm going to be explaining myself here. And the fact is that 99% of churches are full of sinners. You know, they refer to churches, church is not this, strong, perfect people. It's, a hospital for, the hurt and the bruised and the broken. And, the church is just a pile of imperfect people. If the church is a pile of imperfect people, why would you go there and let them influence you? Let's get into some scriptures here. Psalm chapter 1, verse 1 says, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night." You keep reading through the chapter, but for time's sake, I'm not going to read all of Psalm 1, but you're blessed if you're not walking in the counsel of the ungodly. You're letting ungodly pastors and teachers influence you on what you believe. You're around bad influences. You're around sinners. If your goal is to be righteous and to obey God, why are you around the sinners? They are going to negatively affect your beliefs, and they may draw you into their life of sin. And the modern churches hate God's law. They despise it. They call it legalistic. They'll call you a Pharisee. They'll push you out from their groups. But blessed is the man who delights in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Let's look at another passage. 2 Corinthians 6. Says in 2 Corinthians 6 verse 14, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Baal? Or what part he hath he that believeth with an infidel? The righteous does not have fellowship with unrighteousness." The sinner and the godly, they are separate. He says later in verse 17 in 2 Corinthians here, "Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord." That's what holiness is. It's being separate. The world goes after sin, but if you're of Christ, you go after godliness. One more passage here. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 14. "Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. Then says later, "My son, attend to my words, incline thine ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thy eyes. Keep them in the midst of thine heart. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a froward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand, nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil." If you are putting yourself in the path of evil men, in the path of sinners, you need to remove yourself. "But Colin, that's 99% of the world." I get that. I understand that 99% of the world is living wickedly. I understand that 99% of the world doesn't care about righteousness. They don't care about holiness. No one cares. We are in the days of Noah. We're basically in Sodom and Gomorrah, where there isn't any righteous people around us. That's the world we live in, and that's the reason I'm making these videos, I'm making these podcasts, is to hopefully change some lives and get America back on the right path of righteousness and obedience to Christ. America is so screwed up. Like I don't know how we've gotten to the point where sin is normal. Disobedience to Christ is normal. As the bride of Christ, cheating upon, God, upon the husband. You look at the Old Testament, you study history. Those who, as the saying goes, those who fail to learn history are doomed to repeat it. I never got that saying as a kid. It never made sense to me, but now it makes sense. You fail to understand history, it's going to repeat itself. Look to the Old Testament. All those times people were disobedient to God, they were destroyed, they were killed, they were punished, they weren't blessed. There's not a single time where God looked at a sinner and was like, "Aw, sinners." Yes, I understand Jesus died for our sins. Don't get me wrong. But also understand that God hates sinners. The reason he came and he died on the cross to save us from sin is because he hates sin. He hates sinners and doesn't want you to be one. Stay away from sinners. Do not fellowship with them. Obviously, we live in the world, and 99% of the world's a sinner. You're going to be talking to some sinners. But you need to be careful what's influencing you and making sure you're staying away from wickedness as much as possible, because the devil is going to try everything to make you slip up. This is the One Reality Podcast.